Anyway, I wanted to talk about long trips because I had this experience going to the United States. I was awake for almost 42 hours,
Okay.
which is as mind-numbing as it sounds. But the time flies. After 24 hours, the time really flies. You start losing.
Consciousness?
Well, no, you start losing awareness.
Okay.
So we had to. I wake up at 6 because Melek goes to work then. So of course Melek wakes up at 6 too. I have to add that, otherwise it sounds like I'm doing a lot more work and she's doing a lot more than I am. But so we woke up at 6 in the morning every
Well,
day.
of course she's doing a lot more work. You're a lazy student.
Yeah, among other things.
Among other things, yes.
So we both woke up at 6 in the morning, and our flight was at 5 o'clock the next morning. And I don't sleep. When I have an early flight, I'm just too deathly afraid of oversleeping that I gave up trying anymore.
Okay.
So that means I stayed awake that entire day. I had classes. I had 8 hours of classes nonstop.
I remember talking to you on Facebook that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I seem tired?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so you're corroborating my story.
Little less antisocial than normal, so I figured you were tired. You're more sociable when you're tired.
Yeah. I'm just more delirious.
Exactly.
So that was 24 hours. And then we took this flight to Paris, and then we had a 7-hour layover in Paris. And I don't sleep in airports either because I'm afraid of oversleeping and missing my next flight. So I stayed awake for that. Melek got to get a little sleep the night before the flight, and she got a little sleep in Paris too. They have these really nice chairs.
Okay.
That's the best thing about that airport, because the international terminal, just the terminal going to the U.S. is awful. You can't get a glass of wine in an airport in Paris.
Well, one thing I don't like is he decided to ban the smoking booths. Now, as a smoker, I loved flying into Germany because they have smoking booths still in there. Any other airport, it's like, okay, I got like a 4-hour delay. I've been on a plane for 6 hours. I got another 6 to go. What am I going to do now because I'm stuck in like international area?
Where have they banned the smoking rooms?
A lot of the airports have gotten rid of the smoking rooms altogether. For example, Canada doesn't have it. England doesn't have it. Southeast Asia never had it.
But you can smoke
South America
right?
did not have it. No, you can't. Singapore for sure did not. Then I didn't see one in Venezuela or Peru, but there is always the reliable one in Germany, Berlin.
Well, Paris has it too.
Ah.
The French smoke a fair bit. I mean, in Europe, smoking is still, I think, pretty chic. I mean, and I'm authority on.
Well, in
European
Europe,
chic.
they also sell beer in McDonald's, so what can you do?
What? Yeah, I don't know what I can do with that. So anyway, we were there for a long time. And then we took the flight to the U.S., and the U.S. flight is, a fair 9 hours in that direction. And then we still had to get from Atlanta down to Orlando. So by the time I landed, it was like 42 hours. And that, I think, is my new record for time in transit. What's the longest in terms of time or distance? What's the longest trip you've taken?
Okay. What was yours? 48 hours?
Like 42, I think. 48
Okay.
hours was the movie.
No, mine was, I think, little over 24 hours, maybe close to 30. That was from Peru to Venezuela, Venezuela to Germany, Germany to Istanbul, and then Istanbul to Ankara. Now, that was my first time experimenting with sleeping pills. I learned that sleeping pills and me do not work. They do not match. It just makes me very dopey, where I'm wide awake, unable to respond, and drooling all over the place, which is not a sexy sight at all.
Well, I mean, so as I understand it, you're still regularly taking sleeping pills.
No, I've given up all hope of that.
So what's with the? Oh,
Okay,
I should,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
Shouldn't have brought that up on.
Drink.
Yeah. It's a 42 is my new record. I had a 35 before. I took
Okay.
35 hours. I went to Georgia. I grew up in the state of Georgia, and like any young boy living in the state of Georgia, when you find out that there's a country named after your state, you really want to go there.
Named after your state.
Well, of course. How else could it be? I mean, Georgia's almost 300 years old as a state.
Yeah.
So I went to when I was in Turkey. For those who don't know, Georgia and Turkey are rather close to one another, and I took an opportunity to go to visit a friend of mine, my friend Anna from Germany, who I've actually seen now in 4 countries, and if she comes for the wedding, she'll be she'll have the record for the most countries in which I have met the same person. She'll have the record of 5.
Okay.
She shares it now with 2 other people at 4.
Well,
I don't know if I should count Melek. If I count Melek, that number's getting... Obviously, she and I are going to start going everywhere. So.
yeah, that she doesn't count. She's like...
Yeah, it's maybe just
you
unfair.
plus
yeah,
1.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of which, we're going to go... In February, we still have to book the tickets. We forgot to do it last night. We're thinking of going to the Venice Film Festival next February.
Oh, very nice.
I haven't been to Venice in a long time.
Okay.
9 years, and I loved it the last time I was there.
I don't think I've ever been to Venice yet. Sounds very elite.
Is that a little working man's resentment?
No, it's single man's resentment.
Is that if you have a girlfriend, you're elite? Is that how you define the term?
No, I mean the film festival. Okay, film festivals, elite, theater, tamam, opera, flan. But if Venice is anything like Rome, going there by yourself is pretty shitty because they're like, "Oh, single man, let's set you at the bar with the other sad men." Or, "Ooh, single man, let's set you at the table with 4 other random men to make space for the couples to eat."
See, I would think if you were a single man traveling in Italy, it's such a tourist mecca, which is, funny because there's a lot of tourists who go to Mecca. But I think you'd be able to easily hook up with all kinds of people. I mean, because you're staying people in your hostels and it's like Istanbul. You can always meet up with people very quickly. When you're a tourist, because you're staying in the same places, you're going to the same places.
Okay, if you're antisocial and outgoing like you, maybe. But I am very shy. I keep to myself.
Where did the aggressive socialization go?
Because they're not in this. Well, the aggressive socialization is if I see you in the same spot that I work, I feel I have a reason to talk to you.
No, you feel you have them cornered. They're vulnerable. There's no escape.
And they cannot run away.
That would be what cornered
Well,
means.
no. For example, I go to a party with a friend, unless the friend gives an introduction to other people.
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable starting a conversation or trying to talk with them. For example, I cannot talk to a random person on the street. There's no reason for it. Why am I talking to them?
But a random person on your social media sites, as you've termed them, that's completely different.
Yeah, that's completely different because
you've read each other's profiles, so essentially you're not really strangers. You know each other.
No, I mean you don't have
connection.
the face-to-face awkward. Who is this? You feel more comfortable behind a screen, being like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah, I mean, well, you made that TCP/IP connection.
And generally,
that's a strong connection.
Okay.
And robust and reliable.
But generally, they say hi, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" But a lot of the social media sites that I use needs interaction on both sides. For example, a like in a chat window pops up.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, so there needs to be interaction on both sides
in order for
a connection to be made. Wow, that's this new kind of socializing. How are you handling that?
I actually quite enjoy it. It's nice.
Really, so it's a departure for you.
Huh?
It's not just you bombarding,
No.
a silent profile, a blank wall, a monitor.
Actually, no. For example, one would think, okay, getting turned down in real life really sucks, but getting turned down by about 200 women in 10 seconds, that sucks even more. So this kind of social media site is a lot better. It's more interactive on both parties. Also, it stops people from creeping and being like, hey, merhaba, nasılsın, iyi misin?
So how do you start?
It depends. It depends what site I'm using.
How many people? You mentioned to me off air. I don't think this was on air. You had said that you say hi to quite a few people and you wait to see who responds.
Not generally, no. I see.
Oh, so they talk to you first.
Well, no.
You told me you talked to them first.
For example, it's 30-70. So 30% come to me, 70% come to me, or I go to them. But the thing is, I'm extremely picky and choosy. I read the profile. I'm like, hey, that's interesting. We could talk about something. Or, she looks good. Maybe.
That is very picky and choosy. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a wonder you're still single.
I have a very high standard.
So we've gotten a little bit off track. This is what we wanted to say for later. This kind of gold we have to let people sit around and wait in anticipation for.
Okay.
So anyway, I was going to Georgia, back to the long trip, and I was living in Konya then, so I had to take an 18-hour bus. Have you taken a bus of that? I mean,
Yeah.
18 hours on a bus.
I think the longest I did was 16 hours in Turkey.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
incredible. It's incredible because it's not as torturous as it sounds.
Well, it depends because when I did this 16-hour, the back of my seat would not recline. Then halfway through, we went on a bump and the seat actually broke. So I could not lean back during the duration of the remainder of the journey at all.
But you were saying it wasn't reclining anyway, so you weren't leaning back before that.
Yeah, but the thing is, it couldn't recline. Then it broke. So if I lean back, I end up on the guy behind me's knees.
So it was reclining after it broke.
Yes, but too much so.
I mean, so is his problem solved? I mean, your problem solved. Obviously, that's just been transitioned to another person's problem.
Yes, but talk about no, just no.
You don't. Are you uncomfortable putting your head in another man's lap?
Very poor concept of personal hygiene.
Well, I'm sure he'll overlook that. I mean, he knows you're a foreigner. You're a dirty foreigner, so.
No, I mean, when this guy was sleeping, the stewardess on the bus, they are stewardess, right? Attendant hostess. She went by with perfume and would perfume his feet every hour or so.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's service. Like I said, the buses in Turkey are nice. If you don't live in Turkey, I mean, these buses are really, Andrew's unfortunate experience aside, are really quite comfortable. I mean, they're better than flying in many cases.
Actually, I spent a lot of time on the buses. I have been extremely unlucky in this regard.
What?
But
you're not finding love on the buses?
No, lately they've started the option where you can get the single seat buses, which is excellent, and it is much better than flying.
They have single
seat.
I mean, you have to be for single men. What do you mean?
No, what I mean is instead generally they have the double up where you have two people sitting beside each other on both sides, and you don't know each other, or you have the row of two people and the row of singles. And I prefer to invest in a single seat because it's much better. You don't have to worry about unwanted man attention or bad hygiene or anything like that.
Do you make friends when you're on these buses? I mean, I don't talk. I met a couple guys on the buses to Bulgaria and Macedonia and these things.
In Turkey, generally, you don't talk on the bus at all. Romania, I did make some friends when talking with another tourist couple behind me. And then in South America, I was talking with a old couple in Machu Picchu. Basically, I get on a bus.
The bus to Machu Picchu?
No, the bus from Machu Picchu.
Oh, does it pick up right at the gates?
Yeah, no, there's a parking lot that brings you down to a small little village, and then you go either by hiking or train back. So what happened was I got on this bus, and then this old couple sits in front of me, and we're sitting there and we're kind of talking. The next thing you know, a girls' university group gets on the bus. And I'm thinking, my chances are looking pretty good. They had one guy in the group and he chose to sit beside me. The old couple turns around and says, "Tough chances, mate."
The reason I asked if you normally talk to people is because we earlier had established that when you know that people can't get away from you, you feel a swell of confidence in pursuing socializing with them. And so the person sitting next to you on the bus... For
example, I feel extremely uncomfortable sitting beside someone I don't know for such an extended period of time because...
Yeah. Well, you could change that in 1 second by saying, "Hi, my name is Andrew."
No, you can't, because the thing is, I have no reason to talk to them. They have no reason to talk to me. I don't want to disturb them. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever to be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
But then why do you not treat your coworkers like that?
Because my coworkers are special.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's the answer.